Welcome to Raising Happy and Thriving Gifted Kids, a daily podcast where you get relatable stories, interesting lessons, and practical tips to help your kids thrive and be happy while enjoying your own life even more. So we're going to head into a new topic right now, and we're going to head into the topic of motivation. And we're probably going to stick around here for about a week or so, because this has been one of my primary questions for a long time. Why do kids do what they do? Because I've heard everything said. They're lazy, or they're single-minded, or they're only focused on one thing, or they don't care about school, or they're actively trying to, rebel against school. But I believe people generally are positively motivated. But even somebody who's not doing their schoolwork is positively motivated to not do it. Or to actually be positively blocked towards not doing it because they have a reason not to. But before you can start looking at what you can change, you first need to know why and what is happening. So one of the first steps that I took in that journey is finding the 3 types of happiness. And this was part of my searching, also as part of a book. I wrote a book in Dutch. Is het voor een cijfer? I'm going to talk more Dutch in this show. That's going to be fun. But yeah, will we get graded for this? The number one question on motivation in the education system. Will we get a grade? Because if we don't get a grade, we're not actually going to participate in this class at all. So learning about motivation, I started out with the 3 types of happiness, and I found them in a book about Zappos. Zappos, you probably know it, is like the huge shoes salesman that was sold for like $1 billion or something to Amazon, and was set up by a guy, Tony C, or actually set up by somebody else, and he came on board and continued its development, and he spent a lot of time on its culture and on motivation. And he actually built it on one of the earlier models of motivation that was found in applied positive psychology. And we're actually going to get back to that tomorrow. So what he described is that there are 3 levels of motivation, 3 types of motivation, 3 reasons that people do what they do. The lowest level of motivation is rock star happiness. And rock star happiness is doing things because they give you a high, because they make you feel good, they give you positive emotions. The second type of happiness is flow and engagement, doing stuff because, you get into flow. You just lose yourself, you lose time in what you're doing. And the third type of happiness is meaning, knowing why you do what you do. And this simple model already gives a lot of cues on how to deal with motivation. Because if I'm going to give you the assignment, motivate your kid, that's actually going to be a pretty hard assignment. But if I'm going to break motivation down into these 3 types, and actually tomorrow we're going to do 5 different types, but we'll start with these 3 types. If we break them down in these 3 types and we say, okay, how can we add more positive emotions? Well, this is pretty much a carrot and a stick. We can create rewards, we can create punishments. So, how can we drive somebody forward with positive emotions? Or the second is, engagement and flow. How can we create more passion, engagement, and flow by having a kid do what he likes doing, what he enjoys doing, and then making sure that the challenge level is a match for his ability level. And the third one is, providing meaning. And in positive psychology, they talk about values in action, making sure that a kid can put his values into action in a positive, concrete, and, positive, functional way. So this creates an interesting question. Look at your child and look at these 3 types of happiness. What is their main fuel? Is their main fuel positive emotions? So are you constantly bribing your kid to do whatever you want him to do? Or are they more like the second level? Are they, engagement and flow? Do they love learning? So as long as they're interested and engaged, they're going to go all out. But as soon as it's not there anymore, nothing happens anymore. Or it's primarily meaning. Do you have like a young eco warrior or something who gets out of bed every day to fight for equality or fight for nature or fight for justice or stuff like that? And knowing what drives your kid, helps you figure out like how can you drive them in the future? How can you help them get motivated? So this was just a starting point. And actually, we're doing like 5-minute podcasts now, and I'm already running way late today. But This is all part of a way more elaborate training. So if you really want to dive deeply into these models and learn how they work and how they work together and how to apply them, you can join our challenge, read our books, follow our courses to get a much more in-depth understanding. But for now, the questions are, the three types of happiness. What, is their positive emotion? The second, how do they get engagement and flow? And the third is, how can you provide meaning? Which is a primary fuel of your child? If you liked this episode of Raising Happy and Thriving Kids, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast in your favorite podcast software. And if you want to dive deeply into all the things you can do to help your kids thrive, be happier while making your own life more enjoyable, go to smartparentingsecrets.com, where you can get free additional training. Hope you enjoyed this episode, and as always, bring out the best in yourself and each other.